Mackenzie Johnston with Tri-State Livestock News, bringing you discussions concerning fair cattle markets. Today we are chatting with Daniel Karon. He is the attorney representing Central Grocers. Central Grocers has filed a class action lawsuit alleging that the four big beef packers, Tyson, Cargill, JBS, and National Beef, have violated the Sherman Act. So Central Grocers has filed this class action lawsuit based on the packers violating the Sherman Act. Can you explain what the Sherman Act is all about?
The Sherman Act is the federal law that prohibits companies from fixing prices and manipulating markets. It makes it illegal. The Clayton Act is the statute that was enacted years later that creates a private right of action for a Sherman Act violation. And the Clayton Act is the statute that allows treble or triple damages and attorney's fees. So the government pursues Sherman Act claims because they just want to get in jail time and fines. Civil plaintiffs pursue Clayton Act violations because that's the only way they can get in to a Sherman Act claim, and that's what allows for damages ×3 to victims and attorney's fees to the lawyers.
What is Central Grocers seeking with this whole lawsuit?
Central Grocers is seeking its overcharges related to having overpaid for beef as the result of price fixing among the defendants.
Do you think there's a chance we'll see other grocers or retailers bring other lawsuits against our big four beef processors?
Do I think we'll have company?
Yeah, do you think you'll have company essentially?
I think eventually. It wouldn't surprise me. That's usually what happens.
Yeah. Because
it's an accessible case and an accessible client, and if somebody has the gumption to throw in, they will. It's the business part of the practice. That said, it's been over a week and nobody has.
Can the beef processors plead guilty in this case that you're bringing forward?
They can plead guilty in any criminal case. This is civil, so what they could do is ask to settle.
Okay.
Which, judging from what's happened so far in the 300 pages of motion to dismiss papers, is not exactly on their menu.
Okay. If they were to settle, would they get a lesser sentence? Would it be a lesser sentence for them essentially?
Yeah, right. Would they pay less if they wanted to get out early?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What usually happens is the first to settle gets a better deal.
Yeah.
And often, they end up cooperating so that we can build a better case against the remaining defendants.
Uh-huh.
If they all what you don't want to be as a defendant is the last company standing, because the price always goes up. Because the stakes are higher. It's just you. It's just not a good position to be in. Are we close to any of that? No.
If Central Grocers walks away with a win with this case, what do you think it does for the rest of the cattle and beef industry, specifically cattle producers?
Sure, I think it restores fairness and integrity to the market because it means people got their money back for having overpaid, and hopefully sends a message to the defendants not to overcharge again because the same sort of results will happen.
Clearly, antitrust laws have not been enforced within our industry. How are these laws enforced?
The government can find something wrong. What usually happens is somebody comes to the government and comes clean because they're feeling the heat, or a customer, calls the government and says this pricing behavior is unusual, or I don't understand why it would, be like this considering the market and its characteristics, or maybe a lawyer. Maybe lawyers do an investigation and the lawyers go to the feds and say, here's what we've learned. Do you maybe want to use it as basis for opening an investigation, or, paneling a grand jury and seeking indictments or encouraging guilty pleas?
Consumers are facing record high prices at the grocery store, and obviously you know this, you're a consumer yourself. Do you think there's a chance that the beef industry could price itself out of a product if these high prices continue at the meat counter?
No, I don't. I'll tell you why. Because one of the characteristics that affects the beef industry and that makes it conducive to price fixing is that demand is what's called highly inelastic, which means no matter what the pricing does, there's always going to be a market for it. Now, if a pound of ground beef, ends up costing $150, you go to pork, you go to lamb, you go to bison, you whatever. But it's beef. It's been around forever. It's tried and true. And wait till 4th of July. There's going to be a run on beef. It's just people want to eat it, and it's because they know people want to eat it that they can raise prices and get away with it and not worry about losing the market. See how it works? Because if it were something that was kind of marginal or nominal or not all that much interest to people, and there were 3 producers and they started jacking up prices, consumers say, we're just moving in, we're going to buy it, something else. But it's beef, man. It's like,